Centerville, Utah is where Paul is. Paul, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet. How can I help?
So at the end of the day, I'm about to be unemployed. I'm getting laid off.
I'm sorry about that.
COVID-19. Yeah. My problem is, finding a job is proving more difficult now than I ever thought it would be. And I don't know if it's a combination. I don't know if it's because of the COVID-19 or the fact that I've jumped around from job to job so many times, or both. But I've just tried so many different types of jobs, trying to figure out what I enjoy and what I'm good at. And I keep coming back to warehouse work, but it's not something I enjoy, mostly because I know stuff about it.
Yeah.
But I'm having a hard time just getting interviews right now, even for those kind of jobs.
Well,
I'm just wondering where to go.
Yeah, let me encourage you on something that this is more of a COVID-19 contraction of jobs than it is you and your work history. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that your work history or, how you're presenting in the interviews or whatever you've done to this point before you called me, I'm not saying that's not a factor. It certainly can be and might be. However, we went from, at the end of February, 3.5% unemployment to now they're projecting numbers in the 14%. Okay. We're talking about in the end of February, Paul, there were more jobs available than people were unemployed. Now, all of a sudden that's contracted. So let me tell you what I think needs to happen for you, because you're being laid off today. We need a short-term strategy, and I want to talk more about that on this phone call. And you've been listening to my program enough to know what your long-term strategy is built on, correct? You know how to figure out your sweet spot. You know my exercise and the methodology, yes or no?
Yeah, it's getting involved with those who are doing what you're interested in doing.
Right. So I want to touch on that in a moment, but let's focus on short-term right now. What have you been making up to this point? What's your salary or hourly wage? What have you been making?
Recently, I've been making $14.39 an hour.
Okay, so that becomes our goal, right? If I had a whiteboard in your room right now where you're calling me from, and we were sitting down at a kitchen table talking through this, I'd go, okay, let's just circle $15 an hour, just to make it simple. Okay, that's the number we need to achieve. All right, and we can achieve that one of two ways. We can achieve that with another full-time job that's paying you $15 an hour, or in the short term, and that's the key here, Paul, to understand I'm talking short term so that we keep you stable right now. Maybe that's two jobs, and one job's paying you $12 an hour, but maybe another's paying you $20 an hour, and it's less hours. The point is we average out and we get to $15 an hour. You get where I'm going, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Those jobs are available in Utah. I'm telling you they are. I mean, if you're delivering pizzas for 6 weeks, fine. If you're delivering pizzas or you're driving for Amazon for 6 weeks to 8 weeks or 10 weeks, whatever it is, that's fine. If you are working in a warehouse, you don't enjoy it, but you do have some experience at it, and you can come in right away and be an asset, yes or no?
Yes.
So I want you to get the short-term job right now. Let's go get that. And that's going to keep you in a place of not just financial stability, but emotional stability. You're going to feel pretty crappy about yourself if 10 weeks from now you're on unemployment and you don't have any prospects. You're just going to. And that's not necessary. You don't need to do that. That's choosing to really accept that. When you can get out there and work right now, whether it's driving a car, stocking shelves at a grocery store, let me tell you something, man. There are some industries that are booming right now. Even if you got to go work for a tradesman, So you do whatever you got to do right now to get to that $15 an hour situation. That you can do. Do you agree with me, Paul?
Yes.
Okay.
I just have a concern, though.
What's your concern?
I'm also going to school, and a lot of these warehouse jobs I'm seeing all require overtime, and that just doesn't work with school.
What are you doing? What kind of school?
Studying. I'm going to school part-time, but I'm studying. Thinking about studying marketing.
Marketing, and then so the long-term goal is you would love to be some type of marketing professional.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Paul, what happens if you say, well, I can't take this job, I can't take this job, I can't take this job because I go into school part-time? What happens if you don't have any money coming in? How does that affect part-time school?
Well, no job, no school, but if I'm working all the time, I can't do school either.
Hold on. Yes, you can. You can. You may have to press pause on school. I'm not saying you have to. I just think you've already concocted this narrative in your mind that, well, if I go out and just hustle right now and I go work in a warehouse, I'm not going to be able to go to school part-time. I'm not sure I actually agree with that. If you've got to work some overtime a little bit each week, fine. But if it's online school, is it online or are you going into physical classes?
It's going to be a combination of both.
Again, why don't you examine what it would take? Okay. So if I am working 1 week, 50 hours a week, how would that affect my online schooling? Why don't you run that scenario out? Have you actually run that exercise out?
I've looked at different options. If it's an online course, it shouldn't be a problem. But if it's an in-class course,
that's my point.
Yeah,
Paul,
yeah, it would be difficult.
To take the online classes, man. You got to survive. You said it yourself. Our discussion is essentially over when you just admitted, if I'm not working, there's no school. And if there's no school, I've slowed down my ultimate vision. So, Paul, you do what you have to do now so that you can do what you want to do later. It's that simple. We are in a wacky, crazy time. You need to adjust. So go do what you need to do right now in the short term, do the online classes, and then you're looking for more permanent work. Or you can work for a company that has marketing positions or do something, and I don't even care if you don't like it. You're on the path to doing what you ultimately want to do, so just do what it takes to stay on the path. I'll remind you folks that I sold sponsorships to live events while I was pursuing radio and broadcasting. I didn't love it. Didn't matter. It was the day job that was funding the dream job. Do what you have to do now so you can do what you want to do later. Come on, folks. You got this. It's not hard to figure out. This isn't some funky math I'm pitching. It makes sense.